ridiculous rates. Per its website, Speedy Cash charges $273.01 in fees on a $500 online installment loan in Nevada, where your humble correspondent is this week, for the Money 20,220 Financial Tech Conference. That works out to a whopping APR of 438.78%, and assumes all payments are made on time over a 77-day period. The APR on an online, 14-day payday loan of $500 in Nevada works out to 651.79%, or total payback of $625. In-store Nevada APR rates are around 460%. As augmented and virtual reality expand, president of Eurasia Group, Ian Bremmer, believes there may be some catastrophic consequences. Watch more from Smarter Faster. Whitefish's largest prior federal contract gave the company $1.3 million to replace 4.8 miles of transmission line in Arizona. For comparison, Puerto Rico has 2,400 miles of critically important transmission lines, and tens of thousands of miles of distribution lines to consumers across the island. What usually happens after large-scale disasters is utility companies activate mutual aid agreements which require other utility companies to assist in restoring services. That's how utilities in Florida and Texas got back online after Hurricanes Irma and Harvey. Puerto Rico's electric utility, the Puerto Rico Electric Power Authority, filed for bankruptcy earlier this year, raising further questions on why it would choose to issue such an expensive contract when other established procedures exist. A spokesman for Whitefish told the Washington State paper that the company is uniquely experienced in working with rugged, mountainous areas like Puerto Rico, where helicopters and 100-foot ladders will be used. Worth noting, Whitefish is based in Whitefish, Montana, Interior Secretary Ryan Zink's hometown. Zinke is at least somewhat acquainted with Whitefish's CEO, though Zink's office told the Post that's due to Whitefish being a place where everybody knows everybody. Both Whitefish and Zink's office denied that the Zinke connection had anything to do with Whitefish landing the Puerto Rico deal. The spacecraft for the Chandrayaan-2 mission will include a rover, a lander that will attempt to touch down near the Moon's south pole, and an orbiter that will travel around the Moon. What's different this time? The Chandrayaan-2 mission will test whether India's space technology is capable of pulling off a controlled landing. The original mission ended after 10 months when India's space organization lost contact with the orbiter. ISRO developed new systems to assist with the soft landing this time around, per Nature. ISRO's tests in preparation for its second mission mimic the Moon's atmosphere and environment. Rovers navigate over rocky surfaces in Bangalore. One of the spacecraft's final tests will begin in 3 to 4 weeks. Sen. Bob Corker unloaded on President Trump during a CNN interview today, stating that Trump will be most remembered for the debasement of our nation. Corker also said that he would not support Trump again, though he stopped short of saying that Trump should be removed from office. Don't forget, Trump is heading to Capitol Hill for a Senate Republican policy lunch this afternoon. Corker will be in attendance. Back in April 2016, Corker stopped short of explicitly endorsing Trump, instead telling CNN that had made a really good transition in the campaign. But the lack of a full-throated endorsement didn't stop Corker from being floated as Trump's running mate or Secretary of State. The Tennessee senator was also quick to criticize the administration after reports that Trump had accidentally disclosed classified intelligence to top Russian officials during an Oval Office meeting in May, saying that Trump's White House was in a downward spiral. And after Trump's botched response to the Charlottesville violence, he told local Chattanooga website Nooga that Trump has not yet been able to demonstrate the stability nor some of the competence that he needs to demonstrate in order to be successful. However, it was Corker's September 14 announcement that he would not be seeking re-election to the Senate in 2018 that fully allowed him to open up against the president. In October, he told reporters that the group of Chief of Staff John Kelly, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, and Defense Secretary John Mattis separate our country from chaos. Later that week, Trump blasted Corker on Twitter, stating that Corker's comments were precipitated by Trump's refusal to endorse Corker in his upcoming Senate race. Corker then responded with his infamous retort that the White House has become an adult daycare center. What happened today? How it all kicked off. Corker appeared on both NBC News Today and ABC News Good Morning America earlier this morning, where he doubled down on his comments earlier this month that the White House is an adult daycare center, adding, "I don't make comments I haven't thought about." Trump responded on Twitter. President Trump continued his attacks against Tennessee Sen. Bob Corker via Twitter this morning. Bob Corker, who helped President O give us the bad Ron deal couldn't get elected dog catcher in Tennessee, is now fighting tax cuts. Corker dropped out of the race in Tennessee when I refused to endorse him, and now is only negative on anything Trump. Look at his record. Corker's fired back on Twitter just before his CNN interview. Same untruths from an utterly untruthful president. Alert: the daycare staff. Trump responded to the CNN interview, again via Twitter. Sen. Corker is the incompetent head of the Foreign Relations Committee. Look how poorly the U.S. has done. He doesn't have a clue, as the entire world was laughing and taking advantage of us. People like little Bob Corker have set the U.S. way back. Now we move forward. Ivanka Trump to Fox News' Sean Hannity, on a day when she held an hour-long town hall at a senior center outside Philly. If you have a tax code that the average person can't understand, I know I can't, it's going to benefit the person with an army of accountants and an army of lawyers who can help them find the loopholes. Simplification of our tax code democratizes it. Video. P.S. Ivanka on her sideline is a matchmaker. 7 marriages. 0 divorces. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders, at a town hall last night with White House Correspondents Association board members and George Washington University's Frank Sesno, promised that the White House is going to try to offer more information on the record way. Had a meeting today in our office to push for things that come from the administration, and particularly from the press office, to be on the record, because I think it's hard for us to argue that we want you guys to have on-record sources if we're not going on the record. Now sometimes there's going to be process stuff that isn't necessarily on the record. But if it's particularly a policy initiative and things like that, that should be on the record from us. The audience applauded. Video. New warning for NYC within the next 3 decades. Floods that used to strike the New York City area only once every 500 years could occur every 5 years, according to a new scientific study. AP's Frank Eltman writes the study, performed by researchers at several universities and published yesterday in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, primarily blames the predicted change on sea level rise caused by global warming. Many of the models had a dose of good news for the nation's largest city. Climate changes may mean that storms are more violent, but are also likely to swing further offshore, meaning storm surge heights are likely to increase substantially through 2300. Why it matters: rising sea levels could mean that floods of 7.4 feet, or more that struck the New York City area roughly once every 500 years before 1800, and which occur roughly every 25 years now, could happen once every 5 years between 2030 and 2045. Why it matters in this social media age: corporate reputation and corporate image matter as much, sometimes more, than the delivery of your product or service. A behind-the-scenes advisor to some of the world's largest corporations told me the amount of time that these companies now have to spend on non-market, non-revenue issues has increased exponentially. Some of the newer topics, like climate change, affect both a corporation's culture and bottom line. Sustainability has become a business requirement, not a political statement, the advisor told me. Any business that cares about younger demographics has to ask, do you want to be associated with my company when you're making a purchasing decision? More companies, including entertainment and utility companies, are becoming more consumer-facing, for example, selling movies or phones directly. Social media lets anyone call out a brand, in a way that can instantly metastasize. Be Smart. Axios CEO Jim VandeHei had vital survival advice for every organization in his post on our secret sauce and corporate culture, the Axios way. How you do it. Think of your brand as a political candidate. You need to be hyper-aware of how you're seen by your core constituencies, employees and customers, and by the broader public. How you do it. Be vigilant for signs of erosion in your base, or failing to respond forcefully to negative attacks, or underutilizing technology to connect with your people in authentic, compelling ways.